Cool.
We're live. Woo-hoo.
And we're on.
Boom. Boom. We're on.
Hey. So good to get together with you all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Feels so good. I just feel vibrationally like high right now. This is fantastic.
Likewise. The little clicking came back, but we'll see if that persists in the audio.
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty, yeah, it's not too.
We'll see if it persists. We'll see.
Okay. All right, we'll see.
We did a episode with also Gina and Hillary at the Shift into Permanent Alignment retreat as well. And so we just did a little episode with Gilad a moment ago. And so now we're all having a 4 legs to the chair conversation right now. So boom, we're on.
Nice.
Wow.
We were talking about Hillary's quote on the previous episode around how people feel on our nervous system, and like people with much more egoic, separation-based, finite-based, time-based, matrix-based, trying to extract happiness from experiences and from other people and relationships and substances, versus people that basically live in Satchidananda, existence, consciousness, bliss, that are of a higher vibration consciousness-wise because they know their true nature, and how those two feel completely differently on the nervous system.
Yeah, that's totally true.
Yeah, I definitely resonate. And do you all think it's like a personal thing, or do you think it's more of like just a resonance of your vibration, being able to tell? Like, because some people, even the people that I feel are still in the matrix, right, can feel okay on my nervous system, but at the same time, I just think it's a totally different feeling when you can just resonate on another vibrational level. But I don't know if you think it's like personal or if you think it's really the density thing. That's a curiosity for me.
I think you can see people's bubbles of limiting beliefs, etc., that can feel. But I wanted to bring this up with you all because it's been something that's been reflected to me, is the tension that you can feel when you interact with people that are more in the matrix, or like have these bubbles that are, we all have something, but what's the nature of the tension that arises when you interact with these people? And I was thinking about it, and it kind of felt like a frustration of like, oh, you're not there yet, you're not as, you're in 3D. And it kind of felt like a subtle victimization state of feeling like their bubble was somehow influencing me in a way that felt like maybe I couldn't do anything about it. Or does that make sense? Like, I was just thinking about it earlier, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
I love that. It's a really solid way to put it. Yeah. Curious if other people have a thought first.
Gilad, do you have any thoughts? Because I do, but go ahead.
In some way, in a dialogue before, like this contrast that can be experienced between states of mind or densities of consciousness, or in your analogy, like being in the matrix and out of the matrix, going back and forth, between like this pure, novel, free state, which is like in charge, so to speak, again, versus like entangled and bound by conditions and carried away state of mind, right? So then what came up is like the question for me, can you fall out of this love? You know, so then like it's a way for me to see that even though I was or I am in this entanglement, I am like in a weird state of being of mind, of maybe behavior. And that's still like a quantum leap into non-judgment, like absolute non-judgment and absolute openness and absolute understanding and absolute forgiveness, you know, to all of that. And for me, this is one aspect of the heart of the heart of the practice, the heart of the understanding also.
Right.
Because that's being loyal to yourself and not to appear, as I see it.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish that your connection was better, but yes, I think I got the essence of that. Thank you. Alice, I like your amused face.
I know. He is the greatest.
I love that.
He's just always like, I can't. I look at Alice and I'm like, yes, Sheila. I just laugh in happiness. Oh, it's so good. Oh, wow.
This is what we're talking about. This is exactly what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
In its most pure nature, we're just talking about this feeling of peace and joy. That's it.
Yeah.
The nature is peace and joy. That's the undercurrent as intelligent infinity. Yet it remains for you to recognize that that is your natural undercurrent, because your mind is toiling you around nonstop. And so it took me, 5+ years of persistently trying to recognize this pure joy and peace that is the undercurrent, Sat Chit Ananda, existence, consciousness, bliss, truth, consciousness, bliss. And that this is all that we're talking about regarding feeling on the nervous system, is that when people are radiating peace and joy like the sun, that the vibe is like wom, 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 wom. And then when you have a very like matrixy egoic separation vibe, it's like when it contrasts that warm, it goes warm. Yeah.
The sound effects are more than on point. It's quite amazing, actually.
The sound effects really add to the to the clarity of that.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. And it feels like it's just much easier to rest in the natural state with you all versus going out and interacting with others that maybe more have more of those bubbles. And there's a effortlessness about it. Effortless ease.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's that recognition as well.
Yeah, like a soul resonance, Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it feels good to be around clearer mirrors and you see more of your natural self or your true self. And there's that recognition and it feels good. to see that.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think that is one of the greatest challenges that I've faced since returning back to home, is just recognizing that I am surrounded by maybe unclear mirrors, and also not judging myself, not judging them, knowing, honoring their journey, honoring exactly, I know that they are where they are meant to be, just as I am as well. And I resonate and understand what you're saying with feeling somewhat kind of pulled energetically when you're in those energies. And I have to like imagine like just a white protective light like around me a lot of the time, and just kind of put that into creation, because I don't want to negatively affect them or vice versa, or be, I want to be that light, be that energy, let that energy speak for itself. But then when you get out of your own element in that way, whereas I feel like that's what you were saying, is you're being pulled energetically both ways, it doesn't serve you, and it definitely doesn't serve the other energies that you're around either. But I as well struggle with that, because I felt that the last few days, you all. Like, whoa.
By the way, isn't that contrast exactly what makes our realization, our shift into permanent alignment, all that more clear?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the contrast really
100%.
serves. And I love it all. It's just like I want to kiss their faces. I'm so grateful for the contrast. It's.
I was telling Gilad that I reneged on all of my 2021 commitments. I turned in equity on projects. I wisely distanced myself from people who I thought were already quite, fairly had some fairly decent fourth density vibes, but that were still nowhere near the level of mastery that we experienced together 3 weeks ago. And because of that, that shift into permanent alignment meant I will no longer architect, I will no longer design, I will no longer build companies, I will no longer work with people that are not at a level of recognizing themselves as the creator, as recognizing what the true nature of intelligent infinity endlessly expressing itself as these creations is. And if they haven't firmly grounded themselves in Satchidananda, in the impersonal awareness, consciousness, bliss, that fundamental truth, then I can't architect with them. I can serve them, but I will not architect with them. So we're focusing on like the third density to fourth density jump, right? To trampoline people up into love consciousness, into unity consciousness, into God consciousness, into recognizing more of their true nature, but cosmic consciousness. But in order to efficiently make the protocols that trampoline people up, we can't build with people that are not Gnostic beings, that don't know their true nature. So that's how I felt, and what I was talking to Gilad about in the last conversation. And it's a lot of it's a big sort of just can be a little bit tough to for people to do, to renege on their commitments, because it's no longer their highest excitement. Yeah. But do it. If you have to renege to take yourself up from the breadcrumb trail, and to look up and to be like, where's the proper next, on the trail, and to really work on that highest excitement perpetually, without just saying, oh, I already made commitments, even though I've already shifted into a different level of consciousness, but I need to hold my commitments. It's like, no, you don't. Use your will aligned with God, love, light, highest, wisely, gracefully renege, and then move forward architecting only with those that you feel at the absolute highest vibration aligned with. On your nervous system, warm, warm, warm.
Wow. Love that. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of the time we start things and we have an expectation that they're going to go on for years, or like certain projects or relationships, even friendships, whatever. And yeah, then you quantum leap and then you realize they're no longer resonating with you and they're not of your highest excitement. And then you're faced a lot of the time with those lack beliefs of, oh, can I let this go? What's going to fill its place? Or, you know, the reflections that come up with that. So yeah, cool for you to just be able to release that very easily. Nice.
But that shit was not easily. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, there was a lot of, you know, right now, like there's almost a, and you guys know this because we spent a lot of time in this state, which we can say is that just peace and joy, just that. We spent a lot of time together in just that state. And so when you, in a sense, know this state, you can't vibe on an architecting level. Now, in a one-on-one conversation with somebody on helping them recognize their true nature, it's totally fair to be able to do that with them. But on a full-time, dedicated, daily business operations, you know, global enlightenment style project, it won't work in the long term, because like Gina was also pointing to, is that you need more than anything to have your energy aligned around you on a daily basis in order for you to be able to abide, in order for you to be able to recognize your true nature repeatedly versus get drawn out into the stickiness that's not your true nature.
Silence is one of those things that is very underappreciated in the common matrix world. And I get it, because it can be uncomfortable when you're not abiding in that state where it's just, we're feeling the silence as bliss. But I've had, yeah, I remember states like silence was just so stimulating, like, because your mind is just going crazy with all kinds of thoughts and feelings. But yeah, silence.
God, I could cry right now. It's so beautiful. I agree. I feel like it used to just be like deafening in a way. And then I realized, why do I feel the need to fill that space? And then I like jumped out of that that like the forest I was in and like was overseeing it. And I was like, no, you don't have to fill that space. Actually, your energy is just present alone and just like synergizing with each other. And it shifts everything.
Something came up. Can you hear me? Can you hear me well?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So something before. It's again about the position of the wise one, which is Hindu and inseparable from also alignment and harmonization and evolution of the mind. So it's a saying by Ra. Whoever maybe not familiar, Ra from the Ra material, the law of one, channeled material. So Ra says, whatever assaults your senses is catalyst.
Whatever sorts your senses.
Whatever assaults.
Assault.
Oh, assaults your senses is a catalyst.
Whatever assaults your senses is catalyst.
Yeah, love it.
And these 5 words are so profound because we take it in a sense all the way, both into realization of independence and self-sufficiency, and to a harmonization of yourself, of your beliefs, of your ideas, and so forth. So also in regards when like seeing people, from the matrix or like lower vibration. So then if it bothers me, if I feel registering it, I'm not sensing, to this hyper awareness. But if it bothers me, if it assaults my senses somehow, my emotional body, my some sense of like not comfortable or like painful, something like this. So it's catalyst, which means it's a self-generated experience for the sake of learning, for the sake of balancing, for the sake of seeing something which hasn't been seen fully before, and to be more responsible, be more the master of vibration, of mind, of this complex. And all is well, it's like, oh, nice, I'm assaulted by these beings who are very vulgar and lack awareness and was my vibration or whatever. And I believe it to be the case that my vibration is now lowered and all of that. Oh, beautiful. I can forgive all of that, but then and see like what is the catalyst, what is the expensive position that I can turn now. It's apparent contraction. And with this process also, like from what I've seen, and less, even if it's seen, this contrast, it less and less it bothers you. It's like it's appearing, but it's not sticking. It's not sticking to the state of being. It's like passing through, more and more passing through, and not like staying and sticking and defining things to be something. Yeah, so that was the little input on that.
The cloud arises and passes more smoothly and doesn't stick. Yeah,
most thin.
Sometimes the cloud will arise for those that are less trained adepts, and it will create a 5-hour-long thunderstorm.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Gilad. And also, you notice when the clouds come, you're saying, oh, I'm choosing this, I'm creating this, and that is a very empowering stance to take on it versus, why is this cloud here? Getting very wrapped up in that, yeah.
I'm the creator of the experiences versus I'm the slave.
The victim,
Yeah,
the victim.
Absolutely. What is this cloud trying to teach me versus why is this cloud happening to me?
Mm.
Shifts everything.
Mhm. Yeah, seeing everything as the catalyst. So sometimes it's not just what's assaulting our senses, but it's also just what is appearing itself. So just the appearances themselves are ways for us to remember our true nature repeatedly. I can simply even go as far as to say that this sip of water right now, it can be done without any conscious love, or it can be done with unbelievable waterfalls, oceans of love for gratitude for the hydrological cycle on the planet that sustains this vehicle as it's here as an apparatus of intelligent infinity. So this is like
Cheers to that.
available. Yeah, cheers to agua. Yeah.
Very nice.
Gilad, where's your water?
It would be noisy.
There we go.
Let's
There
try.
you
Oh,
go. Wow. I really love that. Everything as a catalyst.
Mostly assaults are going to be the largest, like is quoted from the Law of One. But yet, even something that is not seen as an assault can also be a catalyst for a deeper love of oneself as the creator, for a deeper love of oneself as intelligent infinity. So there's something to learn from every experience or movie frame.
Mm. Everything that comes up in our reality was brought for a reason. And like we attracted that into our reality to learn from it. And the contrast, it really does serve. It all serves. I mean, how boring would it be if you just like knew all these things? You have to learn them through contrast and constantly forgetting and remembering, and it just becomes more clear every time, right? Like the clarity, the questions create the clarity. You need those questions, that contrast, those constant reminders.
Have you all
And your reality.
experienced any? Sorry, go for it.
No, I was just saying, your reality is just a direct representation of the things that are coming up for a reason that you have to learn from and work through. And then it's a beautiful mirroring reflection of your internal world. And that's always a challenge for me too. I'm like, but how did I create this? And then I'm like, oh, okay, that's why. It was the little distortion. Go ahead, Gina. What were you saying?
I was asking if you all have any catalysts that you've experienced recently that you'd want to share about.
The one that we spent the first part of the convo on was fucking insane. Like just going back into away from the container of like people that recognize themselves as the creator and people that are just bathing in the subtlety of peace and joy versus those that are in thunderstorms, nonstop thunderstorms. And like seeing that contrast, really, it almost felt like it was the first time in my life I had seen the difference between versus and like that's what it felt like. It was that intense. And so it was a remember the stickiness of that matrixy environment and remember to abide and remember to renege on the things that no longer feel like they're the shift into highest alignment and Like, so that was a huge catalyst. That's a good question. What about you guys?
So what came up before also, and you say it also now, you think like, okay, it's out there, the stickiness and all of that. But then again, it's what is out there. What is the out there? It's here. It's here. It's here. It's here. It's within myself. That's what I mean.
That's great.
It's within whoever. So see, like still current and balance that six.
Gilad, you're cutting out a little bit. Repeat that sentence.
Yeah, so can you hear me now?
Yeah, repeat that sentence.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think if you repeat your sentence, we can hear you. Let's try again.
Yeah.
Let's try. So what I've seen, the six or second is mixed things that I manifest, and they're inseparable for me. So I still have this sense, which appears like, okay, they are maybe like caused. I'm affected by the field, making the field to some extent still. It's showing something to me, some imbalances, whatever, and for me, it's like the lower chakras things, the first, second, third chakras themes which come up. And yeah, they're very present in the collective. Actually, that's most of the things in the collective. Most people like run for like all day long, for many days in a row. This three first chakra stuff. So for me, it came like very powerfully. This third lower chakra came so strongly and sort of immediately after this time, and then I saw, oh, cool. hello, Sam. Hello, old friend, and here I have this like still like some portions of that to clear, to transmute.
It's a good point. It's a really good point. Yeah.
Society.
The friction being projected. Yeah. Let's see if Gilad comes back. That's a good point.
Drop the mic, leave. He's back. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the way for him.
It's pretty interesting about friction being projected, as though it both feels that way on the nervous system, but even that is still a slide, a frame on the movie that we then add meaning and symbolization to, saying that it feels that way, that it feels the stickiness, it feels that way, that's energetically how it feels. We're adding descriptors versus it being completely absence of symbolization and absence of descriptors. Like it literally just is.
The whole that is this and this is that just came to mind.
Yeah.
We lost him. Oh, there he is.
Did a little switcheroo there.
I know. I was like, oh.
He came in on another device. The whole idea of this being the absolute is mind-blowing. That in itself is enough to just get somebody to just melt.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's when you can't describe that whole phenomena that Gilad mentioned. Then there's no description because it just is. It's just perfect. And that then there's all of the descriptions. Oh, my nervous system feels more sticky when it's around the matrix versus my nervous system feels a lot more harmonic and warm when I'm around 6th density. And then there's all the descriptors. Yeah. That's what's called Saguna Brahman versus Nirguna Brahman. Nirguna is when you don't have any descriptors around the absolute, and Saguna is when you begin describing it and you begin saying, well, actually the absolute is structured this way and it appears this way and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Yeah. It's a classic debate that's been had in which it's both. It's always simultaneous, but it's been had for 1,000 years or more. It's a good point, Gilad. I like that one. Yeah. The stickiness is inside you. So meaning that if you feel stickiness, then check yourself, check your consciousness. That's pretty interesting.
It's all just you.
Yeah. Yeah, the stickiness can be there, but to who? To who? That's it.
Yeah.
It's you.
Eyes within, soul without.
It's such a good one. I love that one. Yep. So as soon as you feel something like that and you begin describing or symbolizing the stickiness, then recognize that that's a mirror of what's happening internally. Yeah, it's great.
It's really instantly bringing the unconscious to conscious. Like thank you for that. Like.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god. It's almost like, why are you not okay accepting what's happening right now? It's almost like what it's saying. But at the same time, there's you can be okay with accepting the cloud, but then you also are wise in the sense of seeing the possibility trajectory and saying that I don't actually I'm using will and choice to not pursue this fourth one, and I'm only going to leave this highest one available. That's the one that I'm shifted into permanent alignment with.
Alice. So good.
Love you.
I love you. This new energy baseline, it really has been like a permanent shift. And I was telling, I think Gina earlier, now that I know when I'm not feeling that vibrational alignment within, it's a choice to not feel that. And there's something in my constant stickiness of not feeling that I have to just become aware of to shift instantly. And I'll never forget when we were sitting there and you were like, that's your natural state. And I was like, why do we complicate it so much? Like, it's natural.
Yep. That's why Rumi said that between all of the words we say, so much love is lost. Yeah. Love is awareness. Love is being fundamentally pure, raw, uncolored, unsymbolized, undescribed. Just the very fact that there is an observer in the reality itself is enough for you to recognize that that's your true nature. The endless witnessing, the endless observing, eternal observation, eternal intelligent infinity immersing itself as an impersonal awareness into creations, endlessly coloring itself with form. Look at all these cool little cute costumes here. These 4 cute costumes. We have Gilad, we have Hillary, we have Gina, we have Atlas. We have these cute ass costumes. And they have all this little cute identity and form. But what's underneath of all of that? What is the same and immovable underneath of all of it? The very fact that we are aware underneath of the costumes, that is your nature. That awareness that is endlessly going to be wearing costumes forever, 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 ever, forever, ever, wearing costumes. That which makes endless costumes. That which is beyond all costumes.
Costumes are fun.
So fun.
Well, fine.
Like a little play we get to dress up and play in.
But remember to focus on the eternal stage rather than the play and the costumes. And you can, and that's the simultaneity, is you can do both, but most people don't know there's an eternal stage. Most people only know the costumes in the play. And they don't even know it's a play. They just see costumes. They don't even know it's costumes. They think this is it. Then they figure out there's costumes. Then they figure out that it's Leela, the divine play. And then they figure out that there's actually an eternal stage, which is endless, having endless plays and endless costumes.
It just takes so much of the pressure just off. Like, it just feels freeing, like liberating when you like say that and put it like that, you know? It's profound.
That's so good. We should even recap. It's so good. You think we start by thinking that we're a person that's finite and separate. We start there. Not always. If you're born in the indigenous tradition, you might grow up knowing your infinity in some of those traditions. But you move, in a sense, from that egoic, separate personhood to recognizing that you're wearing a costume. And then you go from knowing that, okay, I'm just wearing a costume, I'm awareness wearing a costume. And then you go to, holy shit, this is all a divine play called Leela. This is all that, a divine play. And then you realize that I am the eternal stage. I am that which makes the eternal stage and the endless plays. And I'm wearing this costume all at the same time. It's so good. It's like the video game analogy. It's very similar to the video game analogy. You think you're a separate person in a game, and then you realize that you are actually in a video game. You realize you're in a video game, and then you realize that the video game is having the same awareness that is impersonal, that is being played in the Gina and the Gilad and the Hillary characters. And then you realize that you are that awareness that's impersonal and shared in the video game. And then you realize that you're the fucking creator of the game that makes endless games, that then immerses itself as these characters in the video games, that then goes around and plays all of the different stuff in the game, and that gains that unique experience, and that then turns that in at the 7th density going into the 8th into the next creation endlessly. So yeah, it's just the same analogies of the eternal stage versus the eternal video game. Yeah.
Yeah, video game dream.
I love the dream one too. Yeah. You literally can't have a dream without an observer. I don't get it. I don't get how people don't get the salience of the observer. If somebody told me this 6 years ago, I probably would have gotten it, but nobody quite said it this way. But like, yo, you can't have a dream unless you immerse yourself into the dream as an observer of the dream. And I would have been like, oh, I would have gotten it a little bit more, that consciousness or awareness is so fucking fundamental. There would be nobody here to experience the reality if there was no observer or witness of the reality.
Yeah, and let me go more direct and more experiential on that. So, beyond all these concepts, there is this one, for me, the word power, it fits very well here. And let's say also awareness, resistance. This one power in what we call myself or whoever watches it currently, and understanding all of that existences, powers, so to speak, that appears programmed to be seen as separate and different. Once I start to convict myself that there is only one power, there's only one existence, and feel it now, actually feel how the existence here is the existence everywhere. There may be different view or attention, but there is one fundamental source, and that's beyond the mind, that's beyond the concept. It's all one. It's only one. It's only one. It's only one. It's only one here and now. These distinctions are good, but I'd like to take it to the direct.
This one.
This unit, absolute unity.
How did you
There's another way to go.
Oh, wow.
Now we can't forget.
No, just plastered across the bottom in a banner for the rest of the episode. Gilad, I love that one. That direct
That's so
experience
good.
is so
Yeah.
good with that. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
That really starts to relax any of the tension that you'd feel from when you're saying the stickiness or any, which are good on a relative level to feel and use as catalyst and everything. But yeah, absolutely. Just going back again and again to that recognition that there's just one. It's just you. Just you.
Just you.
Steering wheel lock.
Bye. Wow.
Nice.
Oh my God.
Wow. Oh, God.
Wow. Oh, so good.
How do you even articulate beyond that realization? Like the oneness, we're all one. And then it just drops all borders, it drops all resistance, all limitations. It's all perception.
I think we visualize it. We do directly experience it and then catalyze other people directly experiencing it. And then that leapfrogs people up from a third to fourth density. And we visualize it by visualizing our true infinite fractaling and finding nature. Just like a heartbeat. It's just like you go out, you have a lub and then a dub. Like a lub and a dub. Lub, dub. Systolic, diastolic. 120 over 80. 120 over 80. Right? And that's like the fractaling and finding, you know. You go fractal outward to like the parable of the prodigal son, where you have this like separation and ego, infinity, and all these things. And then you turn inward. You stop trying to find happiness in Maya, and you turn inward. And that's the dub. That's when you go inward to your source, and then you become sourceful. And then you can firework outward with love and service to other and wisdom and unity, and not trying to extract from experiences and people and substances peace and happiness, which is your true nature. So yeah, it's just that seems to be something really important, is the visualization of the true nature, because it helps with the direct experience, because people get it. Like when you look at a hummingbird and the way that the hummingbird like goes to the, like here's the hummingbird and it goes to the flower and it comes to the flower and it sucks out the nectar of the flower, right? like it's the same thing with the Big Bang. Like there's a Big Bang, and then like there's humans that like suck out the nectar of the Big Bang, of the creation. And so visualizing it's important because it gives people a macro level understanding of their true nature that they can start with intellectualizing and then work their way to direct experience of themselves as infinity endlessly expressing itself.
Yeah, that's actually a very high and advanced form of meditation. Can be in some way of it, visualization. And Vedantic method. Vedanta is the science of basically the origination, or one of the fundamental sciences of non-duality, of the nature of the self, the nature of reality. Vedanta, the ancient Indian, also known as Upanishads. So in Vedanta, a method called Nididhyasana, which is actually contemplating upon a subtle object or feeling, for example, the sense or the idea of infinity or space or something like that. And then through this contemplation, through this visualization, if you will, or of meditation, you go beyond the concept. The concept itself, like the subtle concept of infinity, or like oneness, or like whatever is good for you, because it's similar in vibration to the essence, so the visualization, concentration, contemplation upon these subtle concepts or images can take you beyond density with the devotion, and can take you beyond the concept or the feeling or the image into realization or direct. So that's beautiful. Yeah, that's a very good point.
It's a great
and highly recommended, and can be applied every moment of the day. You don't have to sit, you don't have to do anything for that. You can just like contemplate on infinity or on space or on vastness or whatever, for a few seconds, for 30 seconds. Whenever you eat lunch, whenever, any moment you can use this tool, you can use this technique, this tool, and soak yourself in this expansive vibrations and remembrance. Yeah.
Different topic, but something that came up was our callings. And I don't think I've heard yours, Gilad, but maybe we could share. I think the calling work is extremely powerful to get really connected with your unique essence of what you came here to radiate. And I'm curious, what is your calling, Gilad?
Mm-hmm. Calling is, and maybe we'll give a little context about this calling work in a few, like one sentence. So the calling is like the signature vibration of a being, which represents like the sort of the highest, or like the true essence of oneself, the density, the higher self, this bridge to this higher connection, to to intelligence to infinity. So as like a sentence, which is others, do with service to others, with effect of this vibration or this calling in that way on others, on other people, it means. And then it stands like the calling stands like a ground or like a compass for a being to a life according to this understanding of vibration or sentence. So anyway, my calling is people knowing they are the source of love.
People knowing they are the source of love.
People knowing that they are the source of love.
Powerful.
You want to share your coding, Gina?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for sharing. Yeah. My calling is people are inspired.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Can I ask a quick question before Hillary and whatnot? Gina, for me, and I'm just curious, this is a reflection. It'll be interesting to see how you feel about this.
Mhm.
The way that, in a sense, Gilad's, there was a big level of contrast energetically for me between what was said between Gilad and you. And I'm curious how you feel about this. There's almost this, people knowing they are the source of love. And then there was sort of there's some sort of a vibratory-esque, like, source of love. And then I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just the way that you spoke it. Maybe it was, how aligned are you energetically to people are inspired?
I feel very aligned with it.
Okay.
Maybe in that moment I wasn't super aligned with it. Maybe that's what you heard, or
Tell me more about
something from
what does that look like? People are inspired. How would that look like pattern wise, behavior wise, unleashed?
Unleashed. Yeah. I would say it looked like an excitement, a sort of like awakening, where I think I see visually people going from a state of complacency or more egoic or sort of that like unpolarized, just like you're not service to self, you're not service to others, like you're just very in the middle, you're hanging out there. And then it feels like something lights up in you or awakens, and there's an excitement to realize yourself or to serve others. It could look like that. Yeah.
Cool.
Does
okay.
that
helps a lot. That helps a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. For me, that helped a lot. Yeah. I felt like you sharing the extra couple sentences about it, at least for me energetically in that moment in this specific exchange, it basically took me to a place of like, okay, holy crap, there's so much more behind this that you've really thought about, and that really helped. Yeah. I love that. Great.
Yeah. Like a thing that Richard said, the guy that we did the calling work with, that the word and the world are totally different. And so, yeah, I think the words don't always convey that
Yeah,
power behind it.
and maybe it's not just the words,
Okay.
but it's also the the energetic expression behind the word. Because just play for a second. My calling is people are inspired. My calling is people are inspired.
You just want me to say it with more
It's up to you. You know, you get but it's just there's an interesting juxtaposition in terms of that's another good point just across people's callings in general is just the energy level behind it. Like today on the actually I can't say this, but in the No Limit Society group, there was a specific instance of somebody sharing their calling from a place that was energetically like you could tell that wasn't necessarily that final expression of it, and the person very clearly was like, yeah, it's not the final expression of the blah 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 type thing. And so that's also interesting that we can sort of we're helping each other with that process, which is cool. Yeah But that you unpacked that really well. That was helpful. Hillary, what's yours again?
Yeah. Well, Gina actually helped me as well because mine was very wordy at first. So I kind of broke it down a little. My first calling that I came up with was people remembering their divine infinity through unconditional love. And it felt like the simpler the better. Like that was a lot to unpack. So now I changed it to people experiencing divine love. And it's all inclusive, right? It's literally all a remembrance. Like when you feel that divine, unconditional, no limitation feeling of just like love that we all are at our core, it can't help but remind you of the divine infinity that we are as well. So I think the simpler the better. So people experiencing divine love, sums it up.
It's a lot of beautiful similarity with people knowing they are the source of love also.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes, Gilad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very aligned, in sync.
I'm going to do a little episode on this with our audience and just people playing with their callings. And I'll mention mine on that episode. But briefly, my calling is people experiencing truth. And I would, even for those that are watching right now, I would say that one of the most profound activities, which Gina mentioned, is that this idea of calling is to recognize what is your North Star, what is your transcendent noble aim, what is the reason why you took physical focus in this incarnation? Why? What are you here to bring as a gift, as a firework into the collective? And that might be just anything from like being a good parent all the way up to it might be providing a billion people with clean water that don't have access to it. So it can be anything. And so that's a practice that's also been proved by the psychological literature as well, where if you have some sort of a noble aim, you can find any how, as is said. So with a large enough will, you can find any how you'll actualize that. So it's a really important activity, and we'll do a little video about it soon on the channel. So
Yeah. Nice. I love it because it's really, it feels like an aim in a way. It also just feels It is just what you are. It is just your essence that you are radiating. It's just where it's your being in a more true sense, beyond your personality, beyond all these layers. And so it feels like it has been feeling to me like a recentering. It's like recentering in my own natural essence.
Your calling is what you are. It's just obscured, was another quote from the Richard and Bentigno session. Yeah.
Yeah, it's what you are. And so the physical manifestation of that could be so many things, but it's just what you are. And so you can bring it to every single interaction, every single thing that you do, anything. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's the blue in the blueprint.
Yeah.
The blue in the blueprint?
Yeah, like the blue of the blueprint, or like you could say also the paper that the blueprint is your blueprint, the most fundamental substance of the mind, phenomena. And
Yeah, the individuated expression. What's this?
The calling is the fingerprint.
It is, yeah.
The calling is the fingerprint. The calling is the iris. Your unique iris around your pupil. The pupil is that shared impersonal observer, and the iris is the unique firework of that form. So what is the unique iris? What is the unique fingerprint? What is the unique blue in the blueprint? What is the unique calling? The more that your calling is aligned with global awakening or enlightenment, the more that you will feel like you're perpetually working on becoming more purified around service to other people. Whereas if you're calling, if what you put in that North Star location has something to do with Maya, with the illusion, if you put a car or a house or a relationship into that position, you will inevitably suffer.
Because that's not really your calling. You just have your attention on it, but it's not. It's never. A car is never going to be your true essence as an individuated expression.
That'd be ridiculous.
Items. How ridiculous.
I came into physical focus so that I could own a Mustang, or I could own a Ferrari, or I could have a $400,000 house. Like, that's why I came here. So I could own this house. I needed that as an experience. Yeah, that's funny. It's a good one. Let's wrap.
I'm feeling that, yeah.
All right, let's do it. Should we wrap with a meditation?
I would absolutely love that.
All right, let's do it. Relax. Sink back into awareness, into being, into presence. Into the timeless perfection that we already are. the very formless I am, shared, impersonal, eternal, the first attribute of the absolute. Awareness. And what happens when you make even that attribute of awareness an object and transcend even that? What ineffability remains? Realize you are that.
Another way to say it, you are not the lover, awareness. You are not the loving, unified field of energies, and you are not the beloved, which is the appearances, the mind, the light itself. You are the heart. You are the heart. In the three of them.
Abide as that.
Abide.
Abiding.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Abide. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, love you all. This was beautiful.
Wow. Whew. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. It's exciting. Yeah, I look forward to more of these Costa Rica 2021 sessions. So we'll keep doing these as they blossom. And thanks everyone for tuning in. We love you very much. We're very grateful. Thank you. Let us know how you feel. Yeah, let us know how you feel in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Yeah. If the video brought you value, give it a like, share it with people that you know it'd bring value to. Subscribe if you haven't. We'll put some links in the bio below to our fellow homies. You need to go and check out. So, well, that's all.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Until we meet again in
That's
another version of the now.
Mhm. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye
everyone.
bye.
All right. I'm gonna call you guys on Telegram after this. I'm gonna miss you too much. I'm gonna call you right.
Okay, good.
Okay. All right.
Do
bye.
it.
Bye.
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 Love you.